I'm for those same core principles that you're all for. I'm for the same core principles that I was for in 1976 when I worked and cast my first vote for a Republican president in 1976. I'm for those same core principles that I worked on in the early 1980s, working when Ronald Reagan was in his first term to cut the federal budget, build up the national defense, cut taxes, and get our economy moving, and end the Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, overregulation, overtax, inflation, chaos of the 1970s. And I'm for the same core Republican principles I was when I worked on the White House staff and at the Treasury to get our economy coming out of the recession following the 1987 market crash and the invasion of Saddam Hussein going into Cuba. And those are smaller government, lower taxes, shift power back to the people, reduce regulatory burden by the federal government, encourage the private sector, believe in religious liberty. The First Amendment gives us not only our protection of freedom of speech, but our freedom of religion. And right now, you just heard these speakers from the school board. First Amendment doesn't say it's freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. And our religious people in this country are at siege, at war, with a secular, left-wing, socialist, Marxist majority of people in these urban areas that are attacking people of faith. And I'm worn out with that. And so I have fought for that religious liberty, not just in Egypt, not just in Jerusalem, not in the Holy Land, but right here in Faulkner County, so that when the government says you can't go to church because of a pandemic, we argue that's inconsistent with the First Amendment. We took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court agreed, you bet, that's inconsistent with the First Amendment. So that's why I've got a 100% pro-life voting record, because that is a part of my life, a part of our family's life, a part of my faith. As I've grown over the years, I've become more passionate about protecting the unborn and more passionate for the training and opportunity of foster families to help every one of these moms that has an unwanted child have that baby and get it in a loving home. So I'm that same guy who's been fighting for the conservative agenda since 1976, that worked with Jack Kemp on Enterprise Zone, that worked with Ronald Reagan on cutting taxes, that worked with John Tower of Texas to rebuild our military, that worked with President Bush to bring freedom to Central Europe, that we're seeing destroyed today by the very same beasts of human trash in Vladimir Putin that we thought we had freed Europe from in 1989, 1990, and 1991. So that's what makes me tick, and that's why I'm running for Congress again. And I'll tell you what's frustrating to me is in 2014, I stood in this committee and I made commitments to fight for lower taxes, cutting regulations, all the things I just talked about. And you know what? We did that. We did that in the Congress, we did it in the Senate, and when we got President Trump in office, we delivered those things. We rolled back waters of the U.S. that was impacting every farmer and rancher in the 2nd District. We rolled back Dodd-Frank that made it hard to keep your independent community bank functioning. We cut taxes on every working family in this country, and we expanded the child tax credit at the same time, and we created those enterprise zones that Jack Kemp dreamed about back in 1980. We preserved religious freedom. We ended federal funding for abortion. We rebuilt our military. We bought new C-130s for the Little Rock Air Force Base. We got that done in the 4 years of President Trump. And now, in less than a year and a half, I've seen, I can't tell you how many things on my list that I campaigned for and worked so damn hard for to win in 14 and deliver for 7 years, I've seen unravel before my eyes. So I'm going to end on the unraveling and get your commitment to get off your tail and help us win in May and win in the fall and get this country back to where it's supposed to be. Because Trump secured the border, Biden's unsecured. We are overrun I was with Kirk Lane today with high school and college students all over our state in the rotunda of our capital in Little Rock, talking about drug abuse today. We lost 100,000 people last year to an opioid overdose. Fentanyl in our streets is killing our cops, killing our first responders, and killing our family members. 7.4 billion people in the last 6 months would die because of the fentanyl we've interdicted on this border. And that's what we've caught. Repeat that. We have interdicted on the border, despite the fact that we got over 1 million people coming across under this Biden non-policy. 7.4 billion people would die with the amount of fentanyl that our border security people have interdicted this year so far. Border broken, Republicans know how to fix it. Trump and Republicans did fix it. Eddie Joe talked about inflation and gas prices. What's Biden's solution? He doesn't even have a whip inflation now button. All this son of a gun is doing is blaming Vladimir Putin for terrible policies he put in place this year, undoing 4 years of successful economic policies by Republicans. So the border's open. Inflation's the highest since I got out of college. That's when I started my career at 20% prime interest rates and 10% inflation. I know what it's like. I know how it kills working people and people on a fixed income and our retirees. And they're going to suffer for the rest of this administration's handle, because once the cow is out of the pasture, the horse is out of the barn, it's hard to put back. But we're going to do our part to put it back by lowering spending, getting the Federal Reserve, stop printing money every month, unleash American energy. We were doing 13 million barrels a day of oil in this country when Donald Trump was president. We're at 11 million a day. And Biden's got a bunch of double talk on that, nonsense talk. So we're going to secure the border. We're going to fight to control inflation. We're going to fight to unleash American energy. We're going to continue to make sure our military is the best in the world. And we're going to, again, take this country back and repeat what we were doing successfully for those 4 years under Trump and under Republican leadership in the Congress. And we're going to do that by winning the House back this year. And with luck, we might win the Senate back. But if we don't, we're going to make Joe Biden's life a living hell the next 2 years. We're going to win the Senate back in 2024, and we're going to win the presidency in 2024. And we're going to do what everyone in this room wants. Let me hear people being down around here that Republicans are the same as Democrats. That's a bunch of horse manure. I just gave you the record of Democrats. I just gave you the record of the Republicans in contrast to it. So that's ridiculous to talk like that. You're talking down your own political party. Stand up for smaller government, more liberty, more choice, and that's what the Republican Party stands for, and that's what Republicans in the Congress did working with President Trump when he was in office. And we'll do it again. And we're going to do it again starting in November when we take this House back. So I want to tell you, it's been an honor to represent Faulkner County. I was a businessman here at Delta Trust in Little Rock and Conway. Had a great business, and I've loved representing this great city and this growing area in the Congress. And you ought to all be proud that the new boom town in the state of Arkansas is Greater Conway in this part of Faulkner County. That's why our schools are critical. That's why our workforce is critical. And that's what I've been committed to both as a chamber chairman, as a community banker, as an entrepreneur. And workforce is fantastic. And this city is one of the best in the nation. We don't have Walmart, but we got hard-working, smart people, great education, and we're going to have obviously a fantastic school board. And we are in a great spot. And we're in a growing Republican county. And this used to be a pretty Democratic county, if I remember. There's some Democratic relatives in here. So I'd like for you to vote for me on March 24th. Let me keep doing the effective, good job that I'm doing for you. And then let's work together this fall and beat the Democrats, take the House back, take it to Joe Biden, and then in 2024, let's go back to doing things the way we should do it. I appreciate everybody being here today. Thanks for working for the candidates that you support. Thanks for supporting the Republican Party. And thanks for helping believe in this great